Welcome to Under Baobab Skies. There are places where time moves like the tide, steady, patient, and full of memory. Zanzibar is one such place. When the morning light first kisses the coral walls of Stone Town, it feels as though the very sea itself is whispering ancient secrets to the shore. These aren't just whispers, they're stories, tales of builders, intrepid sailors, and bold dreamers who once tied their lives to the whim of the wind and the rhythm of the waves. It's a magic that has to be felt to be truly understood. Can you imagine the scene? Beneath the gentle creak of traditional dhows resting peacefully on the beach. The vast ocean still hums with a rhythm far older than any map you've ever seen. The tide carries with it the distinct, intoxicating scent of mangrove and spice, mingling with the faint, ethereal call to prayer echoing from a distant minaret. And through it all, you can almost hear the memory of countless men who built their entire lives out of wood, salt, and an incredible, unwavering courage. Long before the era of giant cruise ships and bustling international airports, the Dhow was the undeniable heartbeat of the Swahili Coast. It wasn't just a boat, it was a marveler, wooden vessel carved meticulously by hand, guided across vast oceans by the silent wisdom of the stars, and powered by the profound faith and skill of its builders. To the untrained eye, a dhow might appear to be just a simple, rustic boat. But to those who truly understand, it is so much more. It's a vessel of both crucial trade and deep spiritual significance, vital bridge connecting Africa and Arabia, linking the earth to the sea and bridging the human spirit with the divine. Every single plank of teak or mangrove used in its construction was chosen with painstaking care, not just for its strength and durability, but for the unique story it carried within its grains. Each elegant curve in its hull followed no strict blueprints or modern schematics, but rather ancient, inherited memory and intuition. The elders of Zanzibar would often say with reverence, "A dhow must be born, not merely built." And so it was. In the quiet, hallowed hours of dawn, the master builders of Zanzibar would stand before the unfinished frame of their nascent vessel and whisper a heartfelt prayer to the wind, asking the mighty sea to remember their names, to honor their labor, and most importantly, to spare their sons from its perilous depths. For centuries, the thriving Indian Ocean trade network connected the Swahili Coast to the far reaches of the known world, to the exotic lands of Persia, the bustling markets of India, the ancient ports of Yemen, and countless other distant shores. The dhows carried not only precious ivory and aromatic spices, but also something even more valuable: ideas, words, captivating songs, and deeply held beliefs that went on to shape entire civilizations were transported across these waters, weaving a rich tapestry of culture and exchange. And yet, behind all that breathtaking beauty and flourishing trade, there was always a deep, underlying cost. Every majestic mast, raised in triumph, also cast a long, somber shadow of relentless labor, profound loss, and an enduring sense of longing. For where there is wind, there is always the potential for a devastating storm. The sea gives, and the sea takes away. Tonight, we embark on a journey back to the very heart of this extraordinary world, to the shipyards of Zanzibar, where the sharp tang of salt meets the honest sweat of hard work, and where every single nail driven into wood feels like a resonant heartbeat echoing through history. We'll walk among the incredible dhow builders, men who have learned to speak the silent, ancient language of the sea itself. We'll trace the legendary roots that carried Africa's vibrant voice across the vast, welcoming ocean, and we'll hear how faith, exquisite art, and vital trade became one harmonious rhythm pulsating under the same glorious, unwavering sun. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. If you enjoyed this journey, Please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next story. You're listening to Under Baobab Skies, and this extraordinary story begins now. Today, we're re-embarking on a journey unlike any other, a dive deep into a world where wood whispers secrets and the sea holds ancient memories. We're heading to the heart of the Swahili Coast to uncover a craft that's far more than just boat building. It's a sacred art, a language of survival, and a profound fusion of skill, spirit, and saltwater wisdom that has sustained generations. By the end of this video, you'll understand why these magnificent vessels are considered living entities, born from the very soul of the ocean. Imagine the first light of dawn, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The town is still dreaming, but the shipyard, it awakens before anyone else. The very first sound you hear isn't a bird or a distant bell. It's the rhythmic rasp of a saw, a sound that feels as old as time itself. Barefoot men, their hands toughened by years of honest labor, begin their day. They carve planks not by precise measurements, but by an instinct passed down through generations. And among them, a figure stands out. Swahili Salim, a master Dhow builder whose connection to the sea runs so deep it feels like the ocean itself recognizes his name. Swahili Salim is a man of few words, but when his hands touch the wood, it's as if the timber listens, responding to his every intention. Watch closely as his apprentices gather around him, their young eyes fixed on the slow, deliberate dance of his knife. He's not just shaping wood, he's remembering. Each stroke, each carefully carved line, tells a story. It speaks of ancestors who navigated these same tides, guided by the monsoon winds and the shimmering constellations they lovingly called Nyota Zabahari, the stars of the sea. It's a heritage etched into every fiber of the timber. He'll often say, softly, yet with immense weight, wood must breathe. If it cannot breathe, it will die at sea. So you must carve like you are carving air. The apprentices nod, trying to grasp the full depth of his wisdom, because to carve a dhow here, on this coast, is to hold the delicate balance between life and death. It's a craft that transforms mere timber into an embodiment of faith, a vessel of hope against the vast, unpredictable ocean. The responsibility is immense, the stakes are incredibly high, and the reverence is absolute. Take a moment to truly appreciate the artistry here. Cap-cut prompt, close-up of hands carving a plank, sawdust catching morning light, young apprentices watching silently, distant sound of waves and hammering wood. Look at the intricate details. The way the light catches the sawdust, each particle a testament to generations of continuous creation. These dhows of Zanzibar are truly unique. Their strong, curved ribs are meticulously chosen from the mighty mangrove trees, harvested during low tide when their roots are still drenched in salt water. The elders here whisper that the sea leaves a part of itself, a memory, in every tree that grows near it. And that, they say, is why dhows built from coastal would always find their way home, no matter how far they journey. Every single part of these magnificent vessels has a name that carries both practical utility and a whispered prayer. The kiunzi, that's the keel, the very spine of the dhow, always laid down with a soft verse, a blessing for strength and guidance. Then there are the bori, the ribs, carefully shaped under the moonlight, then cooled in the embrace of seawater, imbuing them with resilience. The Yubawa Mezigo, the cargo planks, are sealed with a blend of coconut, fiber, and oil, a natural sealant perfected over centuries. And finally, the Nanga, the anchor, forged by fire and shadow, a symbol of stability and a connection to the earth beneath the waves. Each component is a testament to the symbiotic relationship between humanity, nature, and the divine. Mz Salim works without the modern convenience of a measuring tape. Instead, he relies on a far more ancient and precise instrument. The span of his arms, the steady rhythm of his own breath, and the powerful echoes of his memory. His eyes don't just see wood, they read it like a sacred text, understanding its grain, its imperfections, its very soul. Every knot, every curve, every slight variation tells him exactly how the sea might respond to the finished vessel. It's an intuitive wisdom honed over a lifetime, a gift passed down through countless hands. When a dhow is finally finished, it isn't just launched, it is released. It's a moment pregnant with emotion and deep significance. The builders form a solemn half-circle, their voices hushed as the rising tide gracefully claims its new child. This isn't just a launch, it's a ceremony, both profoundly humble and incredibly holy. They pour coconut wine onto the hull, a symbolic offering. They sprinkle salt for protection, warding off any ill fate. And then their voices rise in a collective song. A heartfelt plea to the vast blue expanse. Bahari, Kumbuka, Gina, Letu, ... C. Remember our name, ... It's an unforgettable sight, especially for a young apprentice. The first time they witness a dhow float free, released from the land, it's like watching a soul taking its first breath, a new life unfolding before their very eyes. From dust to timber to a vessel breathing with the ocean's rhythm. It's a transformation that speaks volumes about the human spirit. CapCut prompt. Dhow sliding into the sea as builders sing. Coconut wine splashing on hull. Ocean foam glowing golden at sunset. The golden light of the setting sun often bathes these moments in an almost ethereal glow, making the foam around the hull shimmer like liquid gold. That night, as the tide returns to the shore, the sea laps gently against the newly launched dhow, almost as if answering the builder's heartfelt prayer. To outsiders, these rich rituals might seem simply poetic, beautiful traditions. But to the people of Zanzibar, they are incredibly practical. They are an essential conversation, a constant dialogue with the powerful forces that ultimately decide life or death at sea. Every builder here knows a story, a cautionary tale of a man who disrespected the sea, who forgot its power and never made it home. And so, reverence isn't a luxury here. It becomes as necessary, as vital, as the very tools they use. The apprentices continue their work, often in a quiet, focused silence. The air in the shipyard is a symphony of scents, the sweet perfume of sawdust, the honest tense of sweat, and the ever-present, invigorating smell of salt. Sometimes, in the background, a radio hums faintly, a modern echo in a rhythm that stretches back through centuries, a bridge between two worlds. It's a testament to how tradition and evolution coexist here. As the day gently fades into evening, Mz Salim finds his customary spot under a towering palm tree, his gaze fixed on the endless horizon. Before him, the newly finished Dhow stands tall, its hull gleaming with fresh oil, its mast reaching skyward, a silent promise to the journey ahead. He whispers, almost to himself, words heavy with meaning, "When the sea forgets us, the land will too." That is why we must keep building. It's a profound statement, encapsulating the very essence of their existence, their connection to the land, the sea, and their ancestral legacy. CapCut prompt. Slow aerial shot of the Zanzibar shipyard at dusk. Silhouettes of builders walking home. The sea glimmering gold as waves roll in. Imagine that view. The shipyard bathed in the soft glow of dusk. The silhouettes of the builders slowly making their way home, their day's work complete. The sea shimmers, a vast canvas of gold, as gentle waves roll in, a constant reminder of the power and beauty that defines this sacred craft. What an incredible journey into the heart of the Swahili Coast, right? The artistry, the dedication, and the deep spiritual connection that goes into dhow building is truly inspiring. It's a powerful reminder of how human ingenuity, respect for nature, and ancestral wisdom can create something truly timeless. We're setting sail on an incredible journey, not just across an ocean, but through time itself. We're heading to a place where the sea isn't just water, but a road, and the wind isn't just air, but your trusted compass. A place where the sky isn't just a roof, but a vast, shimmering canvas, and those twinkling stars above. They're your ancestors, whispering tales from ages past. This, my friends, is the magical world of Zanzibar, and the legendary dhow builders who called it home. For centuries, these master craftspeople didn't need fancy paper charts or modern compasses. Their maps, oh, those were etched deep in the bones of memory, passed down from one generation to the next. Imagine a living geography full of the wisdom of tides, the secrets of stars, and the rhythmic breaths of seasonal winds known as kaskazi and kusi. It's truly astonishing when you think about it, how intimately connected they were to their environment. Let's dive a little deeper into these incredible winds. First, we have kaskazi, the generous northeasterly wind. It arrives faithfully around December, bringing with it warmth, stories, and the promise of new beginnings. It would gently carry ships southward from distant Arabia and India, right to Africa's vibrant coast. Kaskazi wasn't just a wind, it was a carrier of merchants, a whisperer of new tales, and sometimes even a matchmaker for love. Then, around June, its counterpart, kusi, makes its grand entrance. This southwesterly wind is cooler, stronger, and commands a different kind of respect. Kusi blows back toward Asia, carrying precious cargo like ivory, gleaming gold, exotic spices, and sadly, the devastating human toll of the slave trade. But together, these two winds form the very heartbeat of the Indian Oceania, powerful, ancient rhythm that dictated everything. When to build a dhow, when to bravely set sail, and even when to pause and pray. MZ Salim, a wise old dhow builder, used to share a profound insight with his apprentices. He'd say, if you listen long enough, you can hear the winds talk to each other. His young apprentices, full of youthful skepticism, would often laugh at this, but their laughter would quickly fade into thoughtful silence after spending just one night by the shore, listening as the tide shifted its mood like a living, breathing voice. Because in Zanzibar, even the silence carries direction, a hidden language waiting to be understood. Take a moment to picture this. The ocean horizon at dawn, painted with soft, awakening colors. A gentle breeze ripples through the majestic sails of a dhow, ready for its journey. Look closely at the intricate patterns the wind carves into the sand, constantly shifting, constantly telling a story. It's a beautiful dance between nature's elements. The dhow builders and sailors of the Swahili Coast understood this profound connection early on. They knew that their very survival depended on living in harmony with nature's ever-changing temper. They didn't just passively observe, they actively studied. They watched the graceful flight of seabirds, learned to discern stories from the taste of salt on the air, and felt the powerful, invisible pull of the moon on the tides. They didn't just look with their eyes, they listened with their entire being. An elder navigator, a true master of his craft, might perform a seemingly simple gesture, licking his finger and raising it into the air. But he wasn't just feeling the wind's direction. He was feeling its story. A certain chill could mean that Kusi was awakening, stirring in the south. A warm dryness carried news, a message from Arabia brought by Kaskazi. These winds weren't just meteorological phenomena, they were spiritual entities. Each possessed a distinct mood, a revered name, and a well-earned reputation. Kaskazi was known as the merchant's friend, while Kusi was often seen as the hand of the storm. Yet, to the insightful Swahili sailors, these weren't opposing forces. No, they were partners, two essential breaths of one vast, living ocean. There's a wonderful old saying that captures this spirit perfectly. If the wind loves you, even your mistakes will find a safe harbor. It speaks to a deep sense of trust and acceptance. Each year, this cyclical dance of the winds dictated the entire rhythm of the coast. When Kusi blew fiercely, the shipyards would grow quiet, a time for reflection and rest. The builders would return home, mending their fishing nets and cherishing time with family. But then, as soon as the first warm, gentle fingers of Kaskazi touched the rustling palm fronds, the shipyards would explode back into life. Hammers would strike wood with renewed vigor, planks would bend under skilled hands, and prayers would rise into the air like sails unfurling towards the sky. It was a season of hope and industry. This was the magical season when Zanzibar transformed into a vibrant crossroads of the world. Elegant Arab dhows would arrive from distant Muscat and Bustra, their holds filled with sweet dates, luxurious fabrics, and the intoxicating scent of frankincense. Indian vessels, sturdy and laden, would sail in from Gujarat and Calicut, carrying piles of rice, shimmering beads, and captivating stories of monsoon temples. And from the African interior, traders would bring ivory, gleaming gold, and tragically, sometimes the unspeakable cargo of men and women sold into bondage. But even through the darkness and despair of that trade, the winds carried something resilient, something that could not be chained. The invaluable exchange of culture, language, and spirit. Kiswahili itself, the beautiful Swahili language, was born from these very winds. It's a rich tapestry woven from Bantu roots, elegantly blended with Arabic, Persian, and Indian tones. It's a language born of movement, of connection, much like the ocean's own powerful, ever-changing voice. Imagine a slow, captivating montage. Dhow sails gracefully crossing the endless expanse of the Indian Ocean. Close-ups of hands exchanging precious spices and vibrant cloth, each transaction a bridge between cultures. Then, like magic, written Swahili script appears, swirling gently over the rhythm of the waves. A testament to the language born of these very journeys. The navigators, revered as Nakoda, were not just sailors, they were poets of the sea. They held in their minds the knowledge of hundreds of Nyota, Za Baharitha, stars of the ocean, using them like invisible ink marks on an unseen map. They possessed an uncanny ability to pinpoint their exact location by the subtle color of the water, the nuanced scent of the breeze, or even the unique rhythm of the waves as they slapped against the hull. Every single journey became a kind of prayer. Every star-filled night sky a sacred scripture written in the eternal language of starlight. Among all the celestial wonders, there was one star they all deeply revered, Al-Qamar, the majestic moon. When it hung low and full in the sky, it painted a breathtaking silver road right across the water's surface. Sailors believed this wasn't just a reflection, it was the sacred path home, lovingly carved by the souls of their ancestors. And so, the vast sea became an open book, and the Dhow, with its graceful sails, became its pen. Every single voyage penned a new, unforgettable chapter in the long, epic story of the Indian Ocean, a story that reached far beyond mere geography, extending into the very fabric of destiny itself. One tranquil evening, after a long day of work, MZ Salim shared another piece of his profound wisdom with his apprentices. He looked out at the fading light and said, "The wind is older than kings. Empires rise and fall, but the monsoon still returns, year after year. That, my young friends, is how we know we belong to something far larger than just trade or commerce." And he was absolutely right. Even when war, greed, and the horrors of slavery twisted and scarred the coast's history, the unwavering rhythm of the monsoon endured. It was unbothered by borders, unmoved by flags. The sea, you see, remembers what men often forget. Now, picture a slow zoom on dark, brooding storm clouds forming over a quiet, expectant sea. Then the scene shifts to joyful children flying kites shaped like tiny Dhows, their laughter echoing against the sky. And finally, the peaceful image of countless stars twinkling above the gentle ebb and flow of the waves. It's a timeless scene of resilience and hope. To truly understand the Dhow, you must understand this profound rhythm, the patient strength of wood, the vital breath of the wind, and the quiet mercy of the stars. For these incredible builders and sailors, navigation was never about trying to control nature. No, it was about trusting the sea to carry you home, if only you approached her with genuine humility and respect. And so, year after year, as the wind shifted its course, Zanzibar listened. Its people harmonized their lives with the powerful, ancient heartbeat of the tide, crafting vessels not just of wood, but of deep, abiding faith. Faith that, as long as the monsoon winds faithfully returned, so too would they, enduring and resilient. The true map was never drawn in ink on paper. It was intricately carved in rhythm, whispered in the rustle of palm fronds, and sighed in the ceaseless murmur of waves that always seemed to know exactly where to go. Because in truth, the real compass of the Indian Ocean was never just the wind or the stars. It was something far more profound, far more heartfelt. It was the enduring memory of home. Now, imagine this. In these shipyards, wood wasn't just material, it was memory. Every single plank carried a heartbeat, a life, and every tree, carefully chosen from the whispering mangrove swamps, bore the promise of a journey yet to come. When a dhow builder lifted his adze, he wasn't merely shaping a vessel. He was awakening a spirit, breathing life into wood. It's a profound connection, isn't it? To embark on building a dhow, one first had to seek the blessing of the forest. This wasn't some quaint superstition. No, this was a law, ancient and revered, far older than any sultan or trader who ever graced these shores. It was a law that echoed a simple truth: you do not take without asking. This deep respect for nature is something we can all learn from. The builders, guided by their wise master, would walk into the dense mangroves barefoot, the air there. Oh, it would be thick and humming with life. You'd hear insects droning, the roots of the mangroves breathing, and crabs scuttling like tiny, vigilant guardians of the swamp. They'd move with purpose until they found the chosen tree, tall, gnarled, its bark dark and rich, like old smoke. Then the master would kneel. He'd place his hand gently on the trunk, a moment of profound connection, and whisper words that have been passed down through generations. Forgive us, elder of the water. We take your body to give the sea a voice. Can you feel the weight of that moment? The humility, the understanding of their place in the natural world? Only after that powerful moment of stillness, that silent plea for permission, would the axes finally strike. But listen closely, because each blow carried a rhythm. Not of violence, but of respect. A steady beat acknowledging the life they were taking. And when the magnificent tree finally leaned and fell, The men would chant a soft prayer, a heartfelt wish that its spirit would not wander lost, but find peace. The mangrove, or Mtwa Mikoko, as it's known here, was considered sacred because it belonged to both land and sea. Its roots drank deeply from salt water, yet its leaves reached ambitiously toward the cleansing rain, a living bridge between worlds. This incredible tree taught the builders balance, a crucial lesson for anyone who ventures onto the unpredictable ocean. Too much salt and the wood would rot, crumbling away. Too much dryness and it would crack, breaking under pressure. Like a sailor's heart, a dhow had to live perfectly balanced between these extremes, resilient and adaptable. Once cut, the timber wasn't just used right away. Oh no, it underwent a transformative ritual. It was first soaked in seawater for weeks, allowing the wood to absorb the ocean's essence. Then it was boiled in hot pitch and oil until it darkened, rich and deep, like roasted coffee. The scent that filled the air was thick, sharp, and utterly unforgettable, clinging to everything. Young apprentices often came home with burns and blisters, their hands raw from tirelessly turning heavy planks in those boiling pots. But they wore those scars with pride. Every single mark was proof that the sea had accepted them, that they were becoming one with its power. At night, when the day's arduous work was finally done, the builders would gather under a canopy of stars. They'd share stories, not just of the day's labor, but of the mighty ships they had built, some lost to the waves, some still sailing bravely beyond the horizon. And here's a beautiful tradition. Every dhow had a name. Naming it wasn't just assigning a label. It was a sacred act, believed to bestow the vessel with a soul, giving it character and identity. Some dhows were named after blessings, carrying aspirations like Baraka, which means grace, Sabira for patience, or Imani, embodying faith. Others bore the names of fierce storms, or perhaps the tender names of lost lovers, adding a layer of human emotion to their wooden hulls. But no matter the name, all were treated with reverence, as living beings with their own spirits. Before the hull ever touched water for the very first time, a profound ceremony was held, Katoa Kafara, Yamaji the offering to the sea. It was a solemn ritual where a goat or a chicken would be sacrificed, its blood carefully sprinkled near the bow. This wasn't done lightly. It was believed that without this heartfelt offering, the ocean might choose to take a sailor instead, a much heavier price. The builders would sing ancient songs. The women would ululate, their voices rising and falling, and the air would thrum with a powerful mix of both joy and a deep underlying fear, because even celebration on this coast was intrinsically intertwined with a kind of prayer, a humble request for safe passage. One legend, often shared among the apprentices, tells of a young builder who, in his eagerness, ignored this sacred ritual. He was ambitious, keen to finish his dhow before the seasonal Kaskazi winds changed direction. He launched his vessel without sacrifice, without thanks, driven by haste. That very same night, the tide pulled with unusual, relentless strength. By dawn, his dhow was found splintered against the sharp coral reef, a tragic testament to his oversight. The people whispered that the sea had remembered his arrogance and claimed its due. Mz Salim, the elder master builder, often recounted that sobering story when his apprentices grew careless or overconfident. He would look them squarely in the eye and say, "A boat without prayer may still float, but it will never return." What a powerful lesson, right? It's about more than just craftsmanship. It's about respect, humility, and acknowledging forces greater than ourselves. Beyond these beautiful rituals and myths, there was another oath, one unspoken, passed silently from master to apprentice, ingrained in their very being. It dictated that a dhow builder must never, ever boast about his skill. For pride, they believed, angers the sea. He must not curse the wind, no matter how frustrating, nor dare to call his work perfect. The ocean always would have the final word. So, the best builders worked quietly, humbly. Their mastery wasn't displayed in their words, but in the incredible way their dhows cut through waves, gliding gracefully as if guided by memory itself. The perfect shape of each hull, the precise curve of every plank wasn't determined by complex mathematics or blueprints, but by feel, by the craftsman's seasoned hand, remembering generations of trial and error, a deep, intuitive knowledge passed down. They didn't draw blueprints. They built from intuition, guided by the whispers of their ancestors, a living legacy. As a dhow's hull began to take shape, the shipyard would buzz like a busy hive. Women brought delicious food, steaming rice and fresh fish wrapped in fragrant banana leaves. Children played nearby, full of laughter, imitating sailors with tiny toy boats carved from driftwood, dreaming of their own adventures. Even the melodic call to prayer seemed to harmonize with the rhythmic clang of hammers, weaving seamlessly into the fabric of daily life. When the dhow was finally complete, a hush would fall over the yard. The builders would step back in silence. A collective breath held, they would stand, gazing at the magnificent vessel resting on the sand, her curved sides gleaming with oil, her ribs seeming to breathe like something truly alive. It was said that if you listened closely enough, you could hear the very heartbeat of the sea resonating within her. Then, together, with immense effort and shared purpose, they would lift her toward the welcoming tide. The waves would lap eagerly, almost as if greeting an old, cherished friend. And when the dhow finally floated, effortlessly buoyant, the builders would bow their heads, whispering ancient words, a final blessing: sail true, child of the mangrove. Remember your roots, because, in the end, every dhow was so much more than just wood and sail. It was a profound conversation between man and ocean, between the act of creation and the virtue of humility. A beautiful, floating reminder that the sea rewards patience and respect, but punishes pride. The sacred timber, once rooted firmly in the mud, now carried the hopes and dreams of men across the world's vast waters. And though storms might break it, or time might eventually rot it away, its story would never truly fade, for every plank had once listened to a prayer. By now, I hope you understand why. In Zanzibar, they have a saying that beautifully encapsulates this entire tradition. A dhow is not built, it is born. Now, let me take you on a journey to a place where ancient traditions still whisper on the wind, where the ocean isn't just a body of water, but a living, breathing entity. We're talking about Zanzibar and the incredible, almost magical world of its dhow builders. Get ready to discover a story of craft, spirit, and an unbreakable bond with the sea. Under the quiet heat of a Zanzibar afternoon, you'll find them. The dhow builders gathered beneath the shade of a tamarind tree. Their tools aren't just objects, they're trusted companions, adzes with handles worn smooth by generations of hands, chisels gleaming with care, ropes coiled like patient snakes. Here, these men don't just build boats, they shape dreams. Dreams meant to survive the vast, unpredictable sea. Their work begins not with a hammer, but with silence. A master builder, the fundi, stands before the timber, often seasoned mangrove or tick, and he listens. He runs his hands along the grain as if tracing a story. You see, the wood, they believe, speaks, if you have the heart to hear it. Each creak, each scent of sap, whispers whether it's truly ready to become part of something greater, something that will one day kiss both sky and wave. It's a deep, respectful dialogue between man and nature. Visual, wide shot of Dhow builders working under a tree. Their faces calm, focused, the wood glowing gold in afternoon light. The apprentices watch, eyes wide with concentration. Tradition here demands patience, because in every stroke of the adze, rhythm matters so much more than speed. The blade must fall with the breath, not just raw muscle. 1, 2, 3, the soft, resonant song of wood and metal echoes gently across the coast. You almost feel as if the sea itself leans in to listen. Among them, there's always one builder chosen by destiny, the Fundai Meku, the great craftsman whose hands hold both art and mystery. It's said he dreams of ships before they're even built. In his sleep, the sea reveals the Dhow's perfect skeleton, the ideal curve of the hull, the precise tilt of the mast. And when he awakens, he draws the design, not on paper, but on the sand, never needing written plans. For Zanzibari builders, to draw with ink is to cage a living thing, to limit its spirit, but to draw with sand. That's to honor the beautiful impermanence of all things, just like the shifting tides. The Fundai then begins a process they call Kumba Uhai, the giving of life. The Dhow isn't just an object, it's treated as a living being. The keel becomes its spine, the ribs its breathing cage. Every single nail hammered is considered a heartbeat. Before the first plank is even joined, the builders pour palm wine and honey into the earth as a sacred offering, a way of asking the spirits of both sea and wood to be at peace with their magnificent creation. Visual, slow-motion close-up of honey and palm wine poured into soil near the shore. Builders bowing their heads in prayer. The ocean shimmering in the background. Nearby, children run and play, their laughter mingling with the rhythmic sounds, using wood shavings that curl like tiny waves as their toys. The older men smile, watching them. This is how every builder here begins. First, with play, later, with patience, and finally, with a profound sense of purpose. As the frame slowly begins to take shape, the air fills with a unique fragrance, the temps of salt, the sweet scent of sawdust, and the faint, smoky aroma of coconut husks. The rhythmic sounds of the hammer echo against the shore, harmonizing with the distant call to prayer. For these men, their faith is not separate from their craft. It is deeply interwoven into every fiber of their being. Every strike of wood is a remembrance of divine order, a belief that to build something balanced and seaworthy is to honor God's own sense of harmony. In sacred texts, God breathed life into man. Here in Zanzibar, the Fundai breathe soul into the Dhow. But there are times, of course, when the sea truly tests them. The work is long, the heat can be merciless, and the timber, at times, unpredictable. Sometimes, a plank will split just as it is being bent into place, considered a very bad omen. When this happens, the builders stop immediately, a heavy silence falling as quickly as dusk. The Fundai murmurs an old, ancient prayer, his hands resting gently on the crack, as if to heal it. They hold a deep belief that every Dhow carries its own destiny, and that destiny must be listened to, never forced. If that plank breaks a second time, they will abandon it completely. To use it would invite misfortune, perhaps a terrible storm, or even a drowning. The sea, they often say, remembers arrogance. Visual montage of men stopping mid-work, listening to the sea wind. A plank cracking in half, a builder touching it softly as thunder rolls far away. And yet, the very same sea that sometimes punishes also rewards in unimaginable ways. When the Dhow's body finally rises, complete, curved, and elegant as a crescent moon, the builders stand in quiet pride. There's no cheering, no loud celebration. They simply nod, their hearts swelling with a kind of sacred calm. The majestic vessel before them is now truly a living thing. But before it can ever touch the water, it needs a name. The naming is a ceremony, intimate, joyous, and profoundly symbolic. The builder's eldest daughter or wife breaks a coconut on the hull, the milk spilling like a blessing. Songs follow, half prayer, half vibrant celebration, calling on ancestors to protect the Dhow wherever it sails, to guide it safely home. Names here carry immense power. Some are poetic, like Bahari Ya, Siri, Sea of Secrets, or Moyo Wa Apepal, Heart of the Wind. Others are more practical, named after saints, seasons, or even beloved villages. Yet, all share one profound truth. To name is to give identity, and to give identity is to truly make the vessel real. Under the soft glow of the moonlight, the Dhow is gently slid toward the tide, the builders guiding it with such tenderness as though they're guiding a newborn into the vast world. The first contact with the water is a sacred union, Earth's child meeting its destiny in the sea as welcoming arms. It's said that if the Dhow floats smoothly, the ancestors have smiled upon it. But if it rocks or hesitates, the Fundi will whisper to it, gently, like a father calming a frightened child, until it finds its natural rhythm. For days afterward, the builders will visit the shore, not out of mere pride, but out of a deep connection, just to watch it rest and rise with the tide. They haven't just built a vessel, they've extended themselves into the world's oldest rhythm, the timeless conversation between man, wood, and wave. But what truly makes the Dhows of Zanzibar so extraordinary isn't only the exquisite craftsmanship, it's the spiritual fusion behind every single nail, every curve. Centuries of trade have brought Persians, Arabs, Indians, and Africans together here, each leaving their indelible traces in design and ritual. The Dhow isn't just a single culture's creation. It's a living conversation in wood, echoing between entire civilizations. This is why each graceful curve of the hull tells multiple stories. It carries the balanced form of African design, the meticulous precision of Arab geometry, and the deep patience of Indian artistry. The Dhow is, in so many ways, the physical proof that humanity's greatest strength lies not in isolation, but in beautiful, vibrant exchange. And yet, for all its undeniable beauty and spiritual significance, every builder knows the sea can always take back what it has lent. Many Dhows never return from long, perilous voyages, swallowed by fierce storms, or lost to distant, unknown coasts. When word reaches the island that a ship has not come home, the builders gather at dusk, light lanterns, and recite the names of those lost, their voices hushed with sorrow. They pour libations on the sand, murmuring, "May the sea remember them kindly," because in Zanzibar, to be forgotten is considered the true death. The sea may take your body, but memory is what keeps your soul anchored firmly to the shore. In time, some of the younger builders have begun to leave, seeking work in bustling cities like Dar es Salaam, Mombasa, or Dubai, where machine-made ships are replacing hand-carved artistry. The unique sound of the adze grows rarer with each passing year, fading slowly like a beloved, cherished song. But among the elders, the old ways still live on, in the stories told at dusk. Under the vast sky, in the meticulous care of their ancient tools, in the unwavering rhythm of their hearts that still beat in perfect time with the sea. When asked why they stubbornly keep building dhows the old way, with such dedication, one grey-bearded Fundi simply smiled, his eyes twinkling, and said, "Because the sea still listens. And until she stops listening, we must keep speaking." His profound words lingered long after the tide came in, a powerful reminder of enduring tradition. Visual, final montage: sunset over the Zanzibar coast. A dhow gliding silently into the horizon. The fundi's silhouette watching, waves reflecting gold around him. In their incredible patience and precision, in their deep reverence and quiet restraint, the Dhow builders of Zanzibar carry something truly eternal, a truth as old as the mighty ocean itself. That craftsmanship is a profound form of prayer, and to shape the world with such care is to whisper back to creation, "I have not forgotten your rhythm." We're setting sail on a journey unlike any other, to a place where time seems to fold in on itself and history whispers on the wind. We're talking about the mystical shores of Zanzibar and the incredible story of its Dhow sailors. Get ready for a tale of courage, ancient wisdom, and an unbreakable bond with the sea. Imagine this: dawn breaks over the shimmering turquoise of the Indian Ocean. As the first rays kiss the water, the dhows of Zanzibar begin to stir, almost like living creatures waking from a deep sleep. Their magnificent sails, once folded like resting wings, slowly unfurl, catching the very first breath of the morning wind. And the men who guide them, they move with a quiet, knowing certainty. Their every gesture, every movement, inherited from generations of fathers and grandfathers who navigated these same waters, read the same winds, followed the same stars, and placed their unwavering trust in the vast, boundless sea. Here's the truly mind-blowing part. No compass, no clock, no written chart. They're only guides, memory, and an incredible, almost spiritual faith. These Dhow captains weren't just sailors. They were keepers of an invisible map. A map not drawn on parchment, but etched deep into their minds through countless years of experience on the waves. They could literally smell a coastline hours before it appeared on the horizon. They could sense the coming of a monsoon by the subtle way the wind brushed against their cheekbones. For them, navigation wasn't just a science. It was a profound communion with nature itself. And when those sails swelled full, the dhows would glide forward with an almost timeless elegance, a movement that felt like both a prayer and a defiance of gravity. The rhythmic sound of waves against the wooden hull was like a steady, eternal heartbeat. Every single voyage began with a powerful ritual of remembrance. The captain would stand at the bow, eyes closed, whispering a verse or an ancestral name. They believed that by speaking the names of their ancestors before setting sail, they reminded the sea that they carried memory, not arrogance. And the sea, they said, respected those who remembered. As the coastline slowly faded into the distance, the crew worked together in perfect harmony. Each man knew his role without a single command being uttered. Their fingers, hardened by years of labor, tied ropes with an instinctive feel for the hemp, a touch more familiar than even prayer beads. The younger sailors would expertly haul cargo, precious ivory, exotic spices, sturdy mangrove poles, while the older, wiser ones kept a vigilant watch on the horizon, guardians of ancient wisdom. The wind, oh the wind, dictated everything. When it was generous and kind, the voyage was gentle, a serene dance across the water. But when it turned angry, the Dhow transformed into a true test of spirit, a battle against the elements. Yet, not a single sailor would curse the sea. To curse her, they believed, was to invite loss, to tempt fate. Instead, in the face of storms, they sang. The songs of the Dhow weren't just for entertainment. They were compasses of rhythm and courage. One deep voice would begin, then another would join, and another, until their voices intertwined into one long, powerful ribbon of strength that carried them through even the fiercest gales. Bahari! Bahari! Tupalek! Nyumbani, ocean, ocean, carry us home. In those incredible moments, the very boundaries between man and ocean seemed to disappear. The Dhow was no longer just a vessel. It became an extension of their unwavering will. The sea was not an obstacle. It was a profound mirror of their souls. And so they sailed across vast channels and gulfs, following the invisible highways of the monsoon winds. Eastward to India when the wind blew from the west, and then westward back to Africa when the trade winds reversed. Each journey could take months, sometimes even years. Yet time held little meaning for them. Only rhythm mattered. At night, when the wind softened into a gentle whisper and the stars burned like scattered embers in the inky sky, the men would gather on deck to share stories. The youngest among them would listen intently as the captain recounted tales of past voyages of mysterious sea spirits seen in the spray of colossal whales that followed dhows for miles of sailors who vanished. Mid-journey, only to return years later, changed and silent. They would point to the constellations. Nyota ya Bahari, the star of the sea. Simba Mukulima, the harvesting lion. And Kihongozi, the guide. Each star wasn't just a marker of position, but a symbol of legacy. These weren't the constellations taught by astronomers. They were cultural constellations, patterns of deep meaning carried across generations of black water and red sunsets. When a sailor met his end at sea, his brothers would respectfully wrap him in white cloth and offer him back to the waves. They believed the sea would keep his body, but his spirit would follow the stars home. No grave, no stone, only the vast sky and the enduring memory. But perhaps the most extraordinary thing about these ancient mariners was how they measured distance, not in miles, but in stories. To them, Mombasa wasn't so many nautical miles away. It was 5 stories east of Pemba, where the turtle nests sing at night. Kilwa was the place where the moon sleeps in the mangroves. And India was the land that smells like our cloves, but dreams in another tongue. It was poetry turned into geography, a true navigation of wonder. Each return to Zanzibar was a joyous celebration. When a dhow was finally sighted on the horizon, women would gather along the shore, their ululations echoing with pure joy. Children would race to the beach, pointing and shouting names. The unmistakable scent of home, a blend of cardamom, wood smoke, and salt, would drift across the wind as the dhows glided in, weathered but incredibly proud. The sailors would leap into the shallows, carrying small treasures from their journeys: silk, beads, rice, and, most importantly, stories. They had seen the world, yet they always returned to this small, beloved island. Because every voyage began and ended with the same profound truth. The sea gave, but it also remembered. Old sailors often shared a powerful saying: you can never cross the same sea twice, because you are never the same sailor twice. In those simple words lay the entire philosophy of the Swahili Coast. A beautiful blend of humility and awe. The sea wasn't just a route for trade, it was a powerful teacher. It taught them patience through calm, immense courage through storms, and profound gratitude through survival. As generations passed, this incredible art of sailing by memory began to fade. It was slowly replaced by engines, modern compasses, and GPS. The ancient songs grew quieter. The cultural constellations were gradually forgotten. Yet, in the hidden corners of Zanzibar, some still sail the old way, guided by scent, by the wind, and by an unbreakable intuition. You can find them in places like Nungwi or Kalindi, men with skin tanned by 1,000 suns, their eyes distant, as if they can see beyond the horizon itself. They don't boast, they don't explain. They simply set sail, and the sea, it seems, obeys them. Sometimes, when the tide is low and the air is perfectly still, you can almost hear the echo of their songs carried across the waves. A fading melody that feels both ancient and vibrantly alive. Bahari, Bahari, Tupaleke Nyumbani. And in that moment, you truly understand. These Dhows are not merely relics of the past. They are memory made visible. They are living proof that long before our world was meticulously mapped by machines, it was held, understood, and navigated in the hearts of men who trusted the sea's whispers. The sea remembers not only the routes of ships, but the very pulse of those who dared to ride her moods. Each voyage, each whispered song, each shared story adds another verse to her endless, timeless song, the song of builders, of dreamers, and of navigators whose only compass was the deep, unwavering memory of the ocean itself. Let's sail on an incredible journey, not across the ocean, but into the heart of a timeless tradition. The legendary Dhow builders of Zanzibar and Lamu, get ready. Because what these artisans do isn't just carpentry, it's pure magic. Imagine for a moment the early morning light hitting the coast of Zanzibar. The air isn't just air, it's a symphony of sounds and smells. You hear the rhythmic rasp of saws, the steady knock of ADSs, and the low murmur of voices. It's a workplace, yes, but it feels more like a sacred space. This is where dreams take shape, where towering trees are transformed into majestic ships. These aren't just builders, they are the sea's silent architects, crafting vessels that are both spiritual and technological marvels. Feel that's the scent of fresh mangrove wood, mingling with the smoke from slow-burning pitch and the salty kiss of the nearby tide. Look at their hands, rough, calloused, a testament to years of dedication. Their shirts are often soaked, but every single gesture is deliberate, precise. Each cut they make feels less like a task and more like a prayer, imbued with respect for the wood and the sea. What's truly fascinating is how little they speak. They don't need to. In this yard, every man anticipates the next move without a single command. A shared glance, a knowing nod, that's their language. The entire process unfolds like a synchronized dance. A choreography passed down not in formal schools, but through generations, ingrained in their very blood. It's a living heritage playing out before your eyes. The foundation of any Dhow begins with the keel, a single, mighty piece of mangrove or tick. It's laid out on the sand, almost like a sleeping ancestor waiting to awaken. Then, around it, the ribs start to emerge, curved, elegant, shaped by fire, intuition, and an almost mystical understanding of balance. Here's the kicker. There are no blueprints, no elaborate drafts. Just the deep, ancestral memory of how a ship should feel, how it should move with the water. It's all about instinct, passed down through countless hands. As an elder builder once profoundly put it, a Dhow is born the way a child is first, the spine, then the ribs, then the skin. And if you build it with arrogance, the sea will teach you humility. That wisdom, that humility, is woven into every single plank and every curve of these magnificent vessels. It's a constant reminder that they are working with forces far greater than themselves. Every single curve on a Dhow is guided by something they call Hezia, Yamaja literally, the feeling of the water. This isn't something you can learn from a book. It's something you sense deep in your bones. A builder will run his hands along the grain of the wood, squint at the sunlight glinting off its surface, and simply listen. If the wood creaks, it's speaking to them. If it remains silent, it means it agrees. It's ready. It's a dialogue between man and nature, a conversation older than time itself. Generations of these dedicated builders have toiled under the same blazing sun, often using the very tools passed down from their grandfathers. Tools that once crafted dhows for the powerful sultans of Oman. But even amidst the arduous labor, there's an undeniable sense of worship. To build a dhow is to create something that seamlessly bridges to worlds it belongs, equally to the land and the sea, to the living and to the divine. It's more than just a boat. It's a living, breathing entity. You can almost hear it now. A carpenter hammering a plank into place, humming softly under his breath. He whispers a beautiful saying. Bauhi inalala kamam toto na itomka, Simba. This wood sleeps like a child, but will wake like a lion. It's a powerful metaphor, isn't it? For them, the wood isn't just material. It has a soul, a destiny. They don't refer to themselves as mere craftsmen. No, they have a much more profound title. Wazazi wa Jahazi, parents of ships. And it makes perfect sense, because each vessel they birth doesn't just carry cargo. It carries a spirit, a will of its own, a piece of their very being. It's a deep personal connection, a bond that transcends the physical act of building. Now, picture this, the midday heat hanging heavy over Lamu's stunning seafront. Dhow builders are meticulously oiling planks with boiled resin, preparing them for their life at sea. And there, off to the side, a small child watches, captivated, clutching a tiny, carved toy boat. It's a poignant scene, a beautiful snapshot of tradition being observed, absorbed, and passed on to the next generation without a single word needing to be spoken. The future of this incredible legacy is being shaped right there. Then comes a truly special moment in every build, a sacred pause when silence descends upon the shipyard. It's when the last nail is struck, the final rope meticulously tied. The builders step back, hands on hips, gazing at their creation. There's a look of quiet awe, as if they re-wondering if it was truly the *, who conjured such beauty into existence. And then, the oldest among them, his voice a whisper, offers a prayer. A beautiful blend of Swahili and Arabic, Bismillah, Bahari, Iwe na Rahima. In the name of God, may the sea be merciful. It's a blessing, a plea for safe passage, a recognition of the immense power they are about to entrust their creation to. The launch of a dhow isn't just an event. It's a vibrant, community-wide ceremony. Villagers flock to the shore, their faces alight with anticipation. Women sing, their voices rising in joyful ululations as the dhow begins its slow, majestic slide toward the tide. Children, their laughter echoing across the water, wade in the shallows, eager to be there when the sea first kisses the hull. The builders themselves hold their breath, a mixture of anxiety and pride, until their masterpiece floats freely balanced, proud, and undeniably alive. Only then, in that moment of perfect buoyancy, do they finally release their grip. For these incredible men, this isn't just a test of whether the boat floats. Oh no, it's far more profound. It's confirmation, proof, that the unseen forces, their ancestors, the spirits of the sea, the wind, and their unwavering faith have accepted their offering. The dhow, at this point, transforms. It becomes a child leaving home, carrying the blessings of its creators into the vast, unknown expanse of the ocean. As the tide gently carries it away, you can feel a strange, reverent silence settle over the shipyard. It's not sadness, not a void, but a deep, abiding respect. For the builders, the sea has just adopted another one of their children, a testament to their skill, their spirit, and their timeless connection to the ocean. Let's pause here for a moment. Let that feeling sink in. Imagine the fire crackling softly nearby, the night air folding around us like a sail. Can you almost hear it? The faint echo of hammers, the genuine laughter of men who build not for mere money, but for something far richer, for memory, for tradition, for the soul of their community. And somewhere in the shifting sands along Zanzibar's coast, half buried beneath the gnarled roots of mangroves, lie the bones of old dhows. They might be forgotten by the bustling world of trade, but never by time itself. Their ancient ribs are now covered in barnacles, their keels cracked by the relentless salt. Yet, if you truly listen closely, the tide still hums their stories. Because, as these builders know deep in their hearts, the sea always remembers its architects. It remembers the ones who dared to shape its children. Imagine a craft so perfectly designed, so effortlessly graceful, that it glides across the water like a whisper. I'm talking about the iconic dhows of Lemieux, these incredible East African sailing vessels. But here's the twist. The knowledge to build them was never, ever written down. No blueprints, no manuals, no fancy diagrams. Just memory, tradition, and the rhythmic pulse of the tides. Get ready, because this is a tale of wisdom, heritage, and how some secrets are simply too profound for paper. When outsiders first arrived in Lemieux, I'm talking about those British and German surveyors in the late 1800s, they were absolutely captivated. These guys, with their expeditions and their thirst for documentation, watched these dhows practically fly across the water, often outpacing their own ships. Naturally, they wanted to understand the secret geometry of these vessels. They came armed with parchment, pens, measuring tapes, eager to capture every single detail, every ratio, every curve. They looked for the master plans, the hidden diagrams, but when they approached the elders, the master builders of Lemieux, something unexpected happened. The elders, they just laughed. Can you imagine? These serious European surveyors, with all their tools, being met with a chuckle. Because to these builders, their knowledge wasn't something you could just ink onto a page. It was part of their very being. One old builder, with eyes that had seen countless dawns over the ocean, simply said, "The blueprints are in our heads and in the hands of our sons." Think about that for a moment. To them, the Dhow's design wasn't some cold, mathematical formula to be drawn up in an office. It was a living story. A narrative told not in words, but in the specific angle of a hull. The echo of a hammer against wood. The precise curve of a plank. Each piece of wood, each nail, each groove wasn't just construction. It was a sentence, a word, a memory of a builder who had come before them generations ago. Every single line, every curve of a dhow came from lived experience. These men understood the sea, the wind, the temperament of the timber. They knew exactly how a dhow would behave in a stiff breeze, how it would lean into a storm, how it would whisper its way against the tide. To try and record that on paper, to them, would be to strip it of its very soul. It would be like trying to capture the wind in a jar. This incredible craft was passed down in the most intimate way possible, mouth to ear, hand to hand. It was an inheritance, not of material wealth or property, but of pure, distilled instinct, etched into the very muscles and minds of each new generation. There was a profound old saying among them, one that perfectly encapsulates this philosophy. You cannot teach the sea on a page. It speaks volumes, doesn't it? The true wisdom, the deep understanding, comes from connection, from experience, from immersion, not from abstract theories on paper. Let's just pause for a moment here. The coals glow a little deeper now, and if you listen closely, you can almost smell the salt on the wind. Hear the ocean breathing between sentences. We're stepping back in time, feeling the rhythm of a different world. When the colonial administrators really dug in, In the late 1800s, they had a very specific agenda. They wanted to standardize everything, including shipbuilding. They demanded regulations, uniform measurements, modern and safe practices. They saw the dhows, these beautiful, effective vessels, but couldn't comprehend how they were built without their Western systems. They wanted things neat, organized, and quantifiable. But the dhow builders weren't architects in the European sense. They were custodians of ancestral equations, equations written not in numbers, but in the ebb and flow of the tides, in the grain of the wood, in the very essence of the sea. So, when these British officers ordered them to record every detail, to write down their methods, the builders would nod politely. They'd smile, maybe offer some tea, and then they wouldn't write a single thing. They respectfully declined to translate their intuitive, embodied knowledge into a format that felt entirely alien to them. They understood that some knowledge is meant to be felt, not read. Instead, they continued to build exactly as they always had, with strong rope made from coconut fiber, with generations of memory guiding their hands, and with the innate rhythm that pulsed through their community. Each man carried his specific portion of the design in his very body. The carpenter knew the intricate curves of the ribs by touch alone. The caulker understood the integrity of the seams by the sound of his hammer. The helmsman, who would eventually guide the finished vessel, understood the very spirit of the dhow by how it responded to the wind. Together, they didn't just build boats. They formed a living, breathing manuscript. A manuscript that aged with them, that adapted, that learned, and most importantly, one that could not be stolen, no matter how many pens and parchments the colonizers brought. You can't steal a dance. You can only learn it by dancing. And that's what dhow building was for them, a sacred dance with the elements. Still, the colonials, being persistent, tried their best. They sketched. They measured every angle, every dimension they could observe. They meticulously labeled pieces: stern, mast, bow. They tried to reverse engineer the dhow, but when they attempted to rebuild from their own detailed notes, their vessels inevitably failed. They were too heavy in the wind or too light in the water. They just didn't work. Why? Because they had meticulously copied the dhow's physical body, its outward form, but they had utterly failed to capture its heart, its soul, its intrinsic connection to the environment it was designed for. It was like having all the notes to a symphony but lacking the understanding of how to play them with emotion. There is this fantastic story told in Lemieux about a young colonial officer who was absolutely determined to crack the code. He spent months shadowing a renowned master builder named MSI Combo. This officer was diligent. He drew every angle, every curve, every ratio, convinced he had finally understood it all. He thought he had all the data. When he finally built his own dhow from his own comprehensive notes, it sank before it even left the shore. Imagine the humiliation and the quiet satisfaction of the Lemieux builders. MZ Combo, with that same knowing smile, only offered a simple, profound observation. The dhow refused him. It's such a powerful phrase, implying the vessel itself, imbued with spirit, chose not to comply with someone who lacked true understanding. For these builders, the act of creation was more than just construction. It was sacred. It was bound to ancient oaths, to specific offerings, to songs sung during the building process. Before they would even bend a plank, they would sprinkle seawater over it and whisper the names of their ancestors, invoking guidance and blessings. Before sealing the hull, they would leave a small charm, perhaps a shell, a coin, or a piece of coral, carefully placed inside the frame. These weren't mere decorations. They were signatures of faith, prayers for safe passage, and connection to the spiritual world. To outsiders, this looked like superstition, an unscientific approach. But to the insiders, to the people of Lemieux, this was the ultimate blueprint of balance, an essential part of the Dhow's integrity and strength. It was the intangible element that made the tangible work. Let's pause again. The tide hums softly now, as if the ocean itself approves of the silence between these powerful words, acknowledging the deep wisdom being shared. Generations passed. As time moved on, some sons of Lemieux left for the bustling city, drawn by new opportunities. Others joined modern shipyards that embraced steel and engines over wood and sails. And yet, even now, in the quiet, timeless corners of Lemieux and the neighboring island of Pathé, there are men who still remember. Men who can still build a dhow from memory alone, guided only by the shifting shadows and the ever-present scent of salt in the air. When they are asked how they manage such a feat, how they hold such complex knowledge without a single written note, they simply smile. And their answer is as fluid and natural as the sea itself, because the sea taught our fathers, and our fathers taught us. It's a lineage of knowledge, an unbroken chain of understanding that transcends any written word. Perhaps the greatest blueprint, the most perfect design, was never meant to be written down at all. It was meant to live, fluid, eternal, infinitely adaptably, just like the magnificent ocean itself. It was meant to be passed down through stories, through touch, through intuition, connecting generations to their environment and to each other. So, the next time you find yourself walking through Lemieux, perhaps near the ancient harbor, and you see an old dhow gently leaning against the shore, understand that you're not just looking at a boat. You are looking at an entire library of ancestral knowledge. Each timber in its frame is a line of poetry, each nail a syllable of history, each gracefully curved sail a page fluttering with the wind's ancient handwriting. It's a testament to the power of human memory, connection, and ingenuity. Let's pause for one last moment. The night deepens around us, and the waves murmur against the shore like distant applause, a timeless rhythm acknowledging the profound wisdom woven into this story. And if you stand there long enough, truly open to the experience, you might just feel it, that unseen blueprint, rising like a gentle mist, a shimmering connection between ancient memory and the endless, vibrant tide. The ocean isn't just a body of water. It's a living library, a keeper of ancient secrets, and the beating heart of a timeless craft, dhow building. Prepare to be enchanted, because the sea, my friends, does not forget. Imagine this. In the tranquil beauty of Lemieux, the water gently laps against the hulls of Dhow. It's almost as if the ocean itself is reading aloud the stories of generations. Each wave seems to carry a memory of hands calloused from cutting mangrove wood, of sails bravely battling monsoon storms, of wise elders patiently guiding apprentices under the blazing sun. These aren't just boats, they are vessels of history, meticulously crafted, stitch by stitch, prayer by prayer. Even when the world started to change dramatically, when the roar of engines threatened to drown out the whisper of the wind, when cold hard steel began to replace warm living wood, when the relentless march of modernity seemed poised to swallow tradition, hold the sea in its infinite. Wisdom kept its own meticulous ledger. It spoke to those who were willing to listen, guiding them always back to the ancient rhythmic dance of the tides and the trade winds. It's a language understood by the soul, a connection forged over centuries. There are countless tales passed down, stories of legendary storms that tested even the most seasoned sailors. Picture it, lightning splitting the sky into jagged shards, rain falling not in drops, but like molten silver. Yet, against all odds, each magnificent vessel survived. Not because of precise blueprints or elaborate modern designs, but because of an innate instinct, a wisdom carried through countless generations. The sea itself became the ultimate teacher, correcting mistakes, instilling patience, demanding respect, and, perhaps most importantly, teaching humility. It's a powerful lesson, etched into every creak of the timber. Let's just pause for a moment here. You can almost feel the waves hush softly now, leaving behind only the gentle, rhythmic creak of timbers as night begins to settle peacefully over the harbor. It's in these quiet moments that the deepest truths often emerge. The legends, the true heart of this living tradition, speak of a time when a curious young apprentice, captivated by foreign papers and precise measurements, attempted to replicate the Dhows using sketches brought by outsiders. He followed every line meticulously, every single number with absolute precision. Yet, when he finally launched his creation, it wobbled precariously, swaying erratically, almost capsizing in the calm waters. It was a stark lesson in the difference between theory and lived experience. M.Z. Combo, the revered master builder, merely observed, and then, with a knowing glint in his eyes, he simply smiled. The ocean, he wisely told the young man, will not be fooled by ink. She remembers the hand, the heart, and the very song of the builder. It wasn't about the drawing on the paper. It was about the soul poured into the wood. From that pivotal day forward, the apprentice wisely abandoned the rigid foreign plans. Instead, he chose to listen to the whispering wind, to the rhythm of the tide, and to the murmuring, living voice of the sea itself. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, his vessel began to regain its balance. He had finally learned the essential, profound truth. A Dhow is not built on paper or by rigid calculations, but on a foundation of lived knowledge, deep intuition, and an intimate, respectful communion with the water. The sea, in its boundless wisdom, preserves more than just memory. It upholds a kind of ancient, unwavering justice. Mistakes are met with the swift consequence of capsizing. Carelessness is punished with splintered planks. And arrogance, oh arrogance, is met with ferocious storms that seem to target the most overconfident hand. Yet, it also generously rewards humility with smooth, effortless voyages, bountiful catches, and stories that are so vibrant they live on in joyful songs and hearty laughter. It's a complete, living system of cause and effect. Even today, you'll find fishermen and sailors in Lamu, Pate, and Zanzibar who continue the ancient practice of whispering to the sea before embarking on their journeys. They ask for permission, they offer heartfelt thanks, and they always, always remember those who built before them. The ocean truly is alive, with stories some as ancient as the very arrival of Islam in East Africa. Others, even older, still whispered from ancestors who walked the warm sand barefoot, who carved the resilient mangrove wood with careful, loving hands. It's a continuous, unbroken chain of wisdom. Let's pause once more. The night deepens now, and the distant, steadfast beam of the lighthouse flickers rhythmically over the water. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the steady heartbeat of the Dhows moving in perfect time with the gentle rhythm of the tides. It's a symphony of nature and craft, and the sea, in its profound mystery, keeps its deepest secrets, even from those who desperately wish to record or steal them. Only those who truly respect her rhythms are granted safe passage. The waves themselves are not just water. They are teachers, formidable guardians, and silent, eternal witnesses. They hold the key to understanding. There was a time when outsiders, eager to unlock these secrets, tried to buy the dhows or painstakingly replicate their designs. They soon learned a powerful lesson. The sea simply refused. No amount of payment, no binding contracts, no precise measurements could ever conjure the ancient wisdom she protected. It was always, always more than just wood, and Salit was a living, breathing tradition, a profound memory, and a continuous, heartfelt dialogue between humankind and the majestic ocean. A relationship built on trust and respect, not commerce. And so, as night fully settles, and the magnificent stars begin to emerge, glittering above the Indian Ocean, the dhows finally rest. Yet, their stories continue to float effortlessly on the waves, murmuring softly of builders who bent wood with an almost sacred love, with endless patience, and with a deep, abiding reverence. These stories are the very soul of the craft. The sea remembers every single scar in the hull, every joyous song sung during construction, every life profoundly touched by the demanding labor. It does not forget the sweat, the occasional mistakes, the triumphant successes, or those quiet, contemplative moments when a builder would simply pause to watch the wind dance across the water. Each detail is recorded in the ocean's vast memory. Ultimately, the ocean teaches us a timeless truth, that memory, true memory, cannot ever be erased, that a craft so rich and deep cannot be fully captured on paper, and that true, profound knowledge lives not just in books, but in the hands, in the heart, and in the quiet, observant embrace of the tides. It's a knowledge felt, not just learned. Even if the outside world occasionally forgets, even if engines continue to replace the elegant power of the wind, even if dhows become fewer in number than before the sea holds them still, their stories, like gentle, persistent waves, continue to lap against every shore, patiently waiting for the next generation to truly listen. And somewhere, under the gentle glow of the crescent moon, the powerful, enduring spirit of the dhows rises not in cold ink or hard steel, but in the living water, in the whispering wind, and in the eternal, beautiful memory of the ocean itself. Imagine, if you will, a mansion rising from the ancient coral stone streets of Zanzibar, almost like a silent, majestic guardian. It stands there, sun-bleached walls carrying the faint, sweet scent of frankincense, a silent promise of the wealth and secrets held within. This isn't just a house. It's a living entity, humming with the quiet orchestration of lives and the constant thrum of commerce. And as we step inside, we find ourselves not in grand halls, but in breathtaking courtyards. These open to the sky, their tiled floors worn smooth by generations of footsteps, each tile a testament to countless comings and goings. This is where the true masters of the dhows conducted the very rhythms of trade. Every voyage, every precious cargo, every human task was timed with a precision that would astound you. They were like maestros, conducting an orchestra of the sea, right here in these very courtyards. These spaces, these courtyards, they don't just exist, they tell stories. Stories whispered under the shade of ancient date palms, where crucial negotiations unfolded. Stories etched into the mosaics as countless feet, from enslaved individuals to seasoned sailors, moved silently, purposefully. Imagine the air, thick with the scent of spices, carrying whispers of ambition, of fear, and of deep-seated desires. Every archway you see, every intricately carved lintel, isn't just decoration. It's a powerful reminder of authority, of power secured not just by sheer wealth, but by an incredibly intricate network of obedience and loyalty that permeated every aspect of life. Even when the shipowner himself was away, out on the high seas or negotiating in distant lands, his presence was palpable. You could feel it. Statues, ancient inscriptions, and incredibly detailed models of dhows. Some actual treasures would adorn these spaces. They weren't just decorative. They served as constant reminders of past voyages, of hard-won lessons learned from the unpredictable ocean, and of that delicate, crucial balance between generosity and absolute control. The family's wealth wasn't just counted in coins or jewels. It was measured in their dhows, in the vast quantities of spices they commanded, and in the very timbre of voices that would rise and fall with the literal tides outside their walls. Let's just pause for a moment, right here in this imagined courtyard. It's quiet now. The scent of cinnamon and cloves drifts gently on a soft breeze, a perfume of the past. Perhaps a fire crackles softly in a distant kitchen, its gentle rhythm echoing the very heartbeat of this magnificent mansion itself. This silence, this moment, allows us to truly absorb the atmosphere, to almost hear the echoes of conversations long past. In these very spaces, both enslaved individuals and free men moved according to a complex, almost unseen set of rules. Every movement was observed. Every gesture, no matter how small, was mentally recorded. Think about it. A misplaced dish, or even a messenger delayed by just a few moments, could send ripples outwards, disrupting the delicate rhythm of authority and trust that held everything together. And yet, amidst this strict order, there was also incredible ceremony. Esteemed guests were entertained with enchanting songs and captivating stories, their eyes inevitably drawn to the intricately carved doors, to the gleaming vessels of copper and silver. Each of these objects, every single one, had its own story to tell, a story of a long sea-bound journey and of the incredible human labor that made it all possible. Even the children born into the immense privilege of these households were schooled from a tender age in the deep, ancient language of the ocean. They learned not just the names of the powerful winds, but the precise timing of the life-giving monsoons. They absorbed the invaluable virtues of patience, understanding deeply that a dhow, no matter how grand, simply cannot sail against nature's powerful rhythm, no matter the wealth or ambition invested in it. The courtyard, far more than just an open space, became their classroom, their theater for life's lessons, and ultimately their sanctuary. And yet, for all the undeniable beauty, the inherent power, and the incredible privilege, the immense weight of command rested heavily on the shipowner's shoulders. Each single decision he made had the potential to profoundly affect hundreds, even thousands, of lives. Think of the brave sailors who entrusted their very existence to the vast, unpredictable sea, the skilled workers who meticulously crafted these magnificent vessels, the merchants who depended entirely on timely arrivals of goods and the delicate often precarious alliances with other powerful entities along the vibrant Swahili Coast. Authority, in this world, wasn't just maintained through spoken words or grand pronouncements. It was held firmly through silence, through meticulously observed rituals, and through constant, unwavering observation. This mansion, this incredible compound, stands today as a living, breathing testament to the profound power of precision, the deep wisdom of knowing exactly when to speak, and, perhaps even more importantly, when to simply let the wind, the ultimate master of the seas, answer instead. The monsoon feasts, incredible gatherings in historical Oman that were so much more than just lavish meals. They were the heartbeat of an entire maritime empire. Imagine this. The air isn't just thick with delicious smells. It's humming with anticipation. This isn't just about indulgence, though there's plenty of that. These feasts were meticulously planned. Grand events, where crucial alliances were solidified, debts were gracefully acknowledged, and the entire rhythm of the maritime year was officially announced. It was a time when the whole household, from the skilled cooks to the seasoned sailors, even the merchants, moved with a shared purpose. Everyone understood that the success of the upcoming season, the prosperity of their entire community, literally hinged on their collective effort and shared diligence. You can almost feel the energy, right? Now, let's step inside a bustling Omani mansion kitchen. Picture it. The aroma of spices like saffron and cardamom is intoxicating. Cooks are expertly preparing massive platters, glistening roasted fish, mountains of fragrant rice, all seasoned to perfection. Servants are swiftly navigating across polished stone floors, carrying trays laden with these culinary masterpieces, each movement precise, each step contributing to the grand spectacle. It's a symphony of preparation, a dance of efficiency and tradition. And then into the great hall. Oh, the sights! Long tables, literally grown under the weight of an incredible spread. We're talking platters piled high with roasted meats, glistening coconuts, ripe bananas, and bread. Warm from the oven, infused with that wonderful cardamom. Guests arrive, their flowing robes adding to the grandeur, bearing gifts from ports you can only dream of, far-flung lands across the ocean. Their conversations aren't just polite chit-chat. They're a rich tapestry of commerce, breaking news from the high seas, and thrilling tales of daring voyages. Laughter rings out, mingling beautifully with the smoky scent of incense burners strategically placed around the hall. And every now and then, from a distant courtyard, the rhythmic pulse of drums drifts in, punctuating the night with ceremonial beats, reminding everyone of the profound cultural significance of this gathering. You see, the monsoon, powerful and utterly unyielding, was the ultimate timekeeper for all voyagers. Before those first strong winds even whispered towards Zanzibar, the shipowner had a mountain of tasks. Every single dhow had to be absolutely ready, sails meticulously mended, timbers rigorously checked for any weakness, precious cargo secured with painstaking care, and crews thoroughly briefed on routes and contingencies. This feast, then, wasn't just a celebration. It was a profound ritual. It was a moment of deep unity, a collective breath held before the inevitable separation that came with sending these brave men, these vital ships, directly into the vast, unpredictable heart of the Indian Ocean. It's easy to imagine the mix of excitement and solemnity in the air. Let's quickly peek outside the mansion now, into that vibrant scene. Imagine the docks, a buzzing hive of activity. Sailors and skilled artisans are everywhere, diligently checking towering masts, untangling thick ropes, and polishing wooden decks until they gleam. The air here is different. It's a rich blend of pine and mangrove wood, mingling with the sharp, invigorating scent of salt, and that unique, potent smell of boiling pitch. It's being carefully applied to seal the seams of the hulls, ensuring every vessel is watertight and ready for the epic journey ahead. Each plank laid, every nail hammered, carries the profound weight of generations of tradition. This isn't just work. It's an ancient art passed down through time. The secret skills of Dhow builders preserved not just in blueprints, but in memory, in motion, in the very hands that craft these magnificent ships. And as the sun begins to set over Zanzibar harbour, casting a golden glow, you can see the dhows lined up, majestic and proud, ready for their final inspections. Sailors are nimbly climbing masts, their silhouettes against the vibrant sky. The mansion, with its soft lantern light, is visible in the background, a silent sentinel watching over the preparations. Let's just pause for a moment, absorb all of that. The ocean beyond the docks murmurs softly, a gentle, rhythmic lapping of waves against the hulls. It's a quiet counterpoint to all the energetic chatter and clatter of preparation. The wind, ever present, carries the intoxicating promise of distant, exotic lands. Yet, it also serves as a humble reminder to all who listen. It is ultimately the sea, in all its power and mystery, that truly decides the voyage's fate. No matter how much preparation, how much skill, the ocean holds the final say. Back inside the mansion, the feasts and the serious preparations intertwine seamlessly. While the elite dine on exquisite dishes, their conversations are hushed, focused on the fleets. They're discussing critical decisions: which captain will command which route, which precious cargoes absolutely must depart before the heavy rains descend, and which delicate alliances need to be honored to prevent any potential conflict. The careful, intricate planning of these pre-monsoon months is absolutely crucial. It's what ensures that when the monsoon winds finally rise in their full glory, the Dhows will glide across the vast ocean with unparalleled grace, their crews confident in their skills and their invaluable cargoes safe and sound. But the feast serves yet another, equally vital purpose. It is a living, breathing education in diplomacy. Young heirs, often still in their formative years, observe every subtle interaction. They learn how their elders skillfully navigate intricate rivalries, how they subtly distribute favor, and how they master the delicate balance between generosity and authority. Every toast raised, every almost imperceptible nod, every softly whispered instruction carries layers of meaning. In this way, the mansion transcends being just a home. It transforms into a vibrant, living school of maritime power. Here, the mastery of men and the mastery of the sea are taught silently, intertwined with the indispensable virtues of patience, keen observation, and strategic foresight. It's a comprehensive education for future leaders. As the night deepens, the lanterns in the Great Hall burn lower, casting long, dancing shadows. The drums, which once filled the courtyard with their ceremonial beats, eventually fall silent, marking the winding down of the feast. Outside, the Dhows wait patiently at the docks, gleaming under the soft, ethereal glow of the moonlight, utterly ready for the very first gusts of the approaching monsoon. And in the quiet, hushed spaces of the mansion, long after the guests have departed, the profound weight of responsibility lingers in the air. It's a powerful, silent reminder that for every single ship that successfully sails, countless unseen hands, countless hours of dedication, and countless minds ensured its incredible journey. It's a testament to human ingenuity, community, and courage. While we've explored the magnificent mansions and the lively trade that made Zanzibar famous, there's a vital, often unseen, element powering it all: the sheer labor of countless hands. Imagine the men, their muscles straining as they cut the resilient mangrove wood, or stood over bubbling cauldrons, boiling pitch under the relentless tropical sun. Picture them, with incredible skill, carefully bending thick planks of wood into those graceful curves that define a Dhow. Their sweat, their scars, their enduring strength, these are the invisible foundations, the very backbone of Zanzibar's legendary seafaring heritage. These are the unsung heroes who moved quietly, their rhythmic songs blending with the steady pounding of hammers, the crackle of pitch fires, and the gentle, insistent lapping of the tides against the shore. It's truly incredible to think about the dedication these individuals possessed, and there's even a touch of royal intrigue woven into their toil. The legend of Princess Sam, a fascinating figure from Zanzibar's history, adds a whisper to their story. Even as a young girl, growing up in the opulent palace, she would observe these diligent craftsmen with genuine curiosity. She noticed the intricate patterns they carved, the precision in their hands as they worked. Later, when she found herself in exile, far from her homeland, she often remembered those magnificent dhows and the silent dignity of their builders. For her, they were more than just workers. They were a profound symbol of her homeland's resilience and ingenuity. For the laborers themselves, their personal stories, their quiet lives, intertwined with those of royalty and powerful merchants. Yet, their voices remained humble, their contributions absolutely vital, and their legacy, though often uncelebrated, is truly enduring. Every single plank that forms a dhow carries a memory. Think about it. The wood isn't just wood. It's carefully selected for its incredible strength. The curve isn't arbitrary. It's shaped with generations of knowledge for optimal navigation across vast oceans. The knots aren't just tied, they're secured with the profound care of centuries-old techniques passed down from father to son. These aren't just mere vessels. They are living, breathing records of human ingenuity, incredible patience, and unwavering devotion. Without the disciplined expertise of these skilled builders, the entire fleet would crumble. The thriving trade of precious spices, gleaming ivory, and rich textiles that defined Zanzibar would simply falter and cease to exist. Their work was, and still is, absolutely foundational. Let's just pause for a moment and take that all in. Imagine the scene. As the evening air begins to cool, it carries the distinct scent of the ocean, beautifully mingled with the faint, earthy smoke from those pitch fires. The constant, soothing sound of waves against the shore is a powerful reminder. It tells us that for all the visible wealth, the grand power, and the elaborate ceremonies that took place on the surface, it is the labor beneath the unseen, tireless, and profoundly skilled work that truly powers the island's vibrant heartbeat. It's a silent symphony of dedication. As night deepens and the stars begin to pepper the sky, the dhows are finally ready to embark on their journeys. The sailors, full of anticipation, climb aboard. The tall masts sway ever so gently in the breeze, and lanterns flicker warmly across the deck, casting dancing shadows. The workers, their duty fulfilled for the day, quietly retreat into the shadows. They watch, a sense of quiet pride swelling within them as their incredible creations glide effortlessly into the monsoon winds, disappearing into the vast expanse of the sea. The ocean itself seems to remember every powerful strike of a hammer, every single drop of sweat, and every meticulous bend of wood. The profound legacy of these craftsmen isn't just written in history books. It's etched into the very waves that carry these magnificent ships away to distant shores. Yet, even as the dhows depart, the mansion where the elite reside remains a hive of planning and activity. The wealthy merchants, with their intricate maps spread out, their ledgers filled with numbers, and their stacks of important letters, are charting the courses and managing the fortunes of trade. The contrast between this visible wealth and the silent labor is stark, isn't it? But here's the crucial point. They are entirely interdependent. One simply cannot thrive without the other. In this intricately interwoven system, the builder's profound knowledge is almost sacred. Their labor is not just work, it's a quiet form of resistance, a powerful act of preservation, ensuring that these invaluable maritime traditions endure despite the passage of time, the pressures of colonization, or any other forces of change that might come their way. Finally, as the night draws to a close, the craftsmen make their way back to their simple, humble homes. They are tired, yes, but also filled with a deep sense of pride. Their hands and their hearts are indelibly marked by the day's honest work. They sleep soundly under the vast canopy of stars, listening to the distant, haunting calls of sailors echoing across the water and the rhythmic, comforting whisper of the sea. These sounds are constant reminders that although their labor is often hidden from view, It profoundly shapes the destiny of entire islands, influences kingdoms, and connects vast oceans. And somewhere, in the quiet depths of the night, the powerful stories of these dhows and their extraordinary builders continue to breathe, carried onward by the relentless tides, patiently awaiting the next generation of hands to honor their incredible legacy. All right, gather round, folks. As the sun dips below the horizon and the day's hustle quiets down, we come to the final chapter of our journey into the heart of Zanzibar. The air tonight feels different, doesn't it? It's filled with stories, with the gentle hum of memory, a whisper of the wind, and the undeniable tang of salt that clings to everything here. Look out at the harbor now. The majestic dhows, once bustling with life, now rest peacefully on the gentle waves. You can almost hear their wooden hulls creaking softly, a lullaby from the past, echoing tales from centuries ago. These aren't just boats, you know. They're living monuments, and the hands that crafted them, hands once toughened by the sun and sticky with pitch, are now dreaming beneath the vast, star-studded sky. Their dreams, I imagine, are as enduring as these magnificent vessels themselves. This isn't just about timber and rope. It's a profound story of human spirit, of silent resilience, and the incredible art of shaping the world with nothing but patient, dedicated hands. Every single plank, every nail hammered true, every gracefully curved bow speaks volumes. It speaks of a devotion so deep it simply refuses to be forgotten. Think about it. Even as the palace doors closed in grand Zanzibar town, and merchants tallied their fortunes by the soft glow of lanterns, the incredible legacy of those unsung laborers continued its voyage. Carried by the unwavering tides, propelled by the relentless wind, and preserved in the tender embrace of memory. It's a powerful thought, isn't it? That long after the grand feasts ended and the daily work ceased, their spirit sails on. So, let's take a moment here. Feel the warmth of our imaginary fire crackling gently beside us as the Zanzibar night breathes round us. It's a beautiful reminder, in this quiet hush of the world, that the smallest, most dedicated deeds often echo the loudest and linger the longest. The skilled builders, those whose hands labored tirelessly on the scaffolds, may be long gone, but their spirit, their spirit lives on. It's in every single vessel that bravely cuts through the shimmering waters of the Indian Ocean, in every rhythmic song of the sea that sailors hum, and in every whispered story of these enchanting islands that passes from generation to generation. It's truly remarkable how Princess Solm's grand journeys, the powerful, guiding monsoon winds, and those lavish, lantern-lit feasts at the mansion all weave together into one magnificent tapestry of memory and meaning. They are a living testament, a vibrant illustration of the deeply interwoven lives of everyone. The hard-working laborers and the privileged elites, the visionary artists and the meticulous planners, the seen and the wonderfully unseen. To truly follow their story, to immerse ourselves in it, is to grasp a fundamental truth that true greatness often is built upon quiet, unwavering dedication. It teaches us that history isn't solely written in grand pronouncements or gilded ink. No, it's also lovingly carved in sturdy wood, meticulously molded in humble clay, and courageously etched in the sweat of honest effort and the ocean. Oh, the ocean remembers everything. It vividly recalls the rhythmic clang of hammers, the distinct, earthy scent of heated pitch permeating the air, the soft murmurs of dedicated craftsmen sharing their wisdom, and the joyous laughter of sailors as their newly launched dhows gracefully glide toward the distant horizon. The ocean remembers the deep shadows of intense labor just as vividly, just as clearly as it remembers the radiant light spilling from those opulent elite mansions. And it waits patiently, as it always has done, for those of us who are truly willing to listen, willing to see beyond the surface, and willing to honor the delicate, essential balance of relentless toil and breathtaking beauty. As we gently bring this captivating story to its close, a profound lesson lingers softly in the air, like the scent of night-blooming jasmine. Every single great achievement, every single towering accomplishment ultimately rests upon the countless hands that so often go unseen, unacknowledged. Every song of the sea, every melancholic or joyous melody, carries the undeniable echoes of those who meticulously shaped its vessels, who gave them life and purpose. And every story, every single narrative lovingly shared under the vast, starlit skies of Zanzibar is meticulously built upon generations of quiet, unwavering dedication. In this profound, beautiful truth, the Dhows and their builders endure timeless, unbroken, and forever remembered in the heart of these islands. So, listen closely. Can you hear it? The soft, rhythmic lapping of the water against the shore. The distant, haunting call of night birds soaring through the darkness, and the gentle, soothing rustle of the palm fronds swaying in the breeze. As my voice whispers this one last, essential truth, power, craft, and patience are not just connected, they are inseparable, intertwined forces. And the magnificent legacy of those who work with such care, such genuine devotion, lives on long, long after the grand feast is over. Long after the pitch has cooled and solidified, and long after the sails are meticulously folded away for the night. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey. I truly hope you enjoyed stepping into this rich history with us. If you did, please consider giving this video a thumbs up, sharing it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on our next adventure. Until then, stay curious. You are now under baobab skies.